So here's a game where I am going to play an Astral Communion, and I'm up against a shaman who's doing something weird with spell damage. My guess is that he's trying to get to a Malagos play. He's not going to get there this game because I've got Astral Communion. So I've got a swipe, and I've got a wild growth in my hand along with the Astral Communion, which is going to make me discard my hand and gain 10 mana crystals, and then I will be playing whatever I draw for the rest of the game. So he's the shaman. I went first. I didn't have anything to do, so I passed it to him, and he's thinking about it. And he passed it to me. I drew an Innervate off the top of my deck, so it's on. And here's Astral Communion. Some of the cards in Grand Tournament have crazy animations. And so you see the Spiral Galaxy, and then it sucks up all my cards. And I have 10 mana and no cards, so I hero power him in the face. It's like, hey, what's up? It just happened. So now I've got no cards, and he's got 6 cards. So I'm at a huge disadvantage in terms of that, but he's only got 2 mana, and I've got all my mana crystals unlocked. So anything I draw is coming at him. And I'm going to go ahead and kill his Loot Hoarder. And I've already got a 5-drop, a 4/6 taunt Druid of the Claw on the board that he has to deal with on turn 3. Shaman could deal with that in a couple of ways. He could hex it. What he's got is Crackle, which is a Goblin versus Gnomes card that deals a random amount of damage from 3 to 6. And he got real lucky, and he hit my card for 6. But I just top decked another one. So now he's got to deal with 2 of them. And I'm going to hit him in the face with my hero power again because I got 5 mana left over. And I'm sorry about that because he thought he dodged the bullet, but there's another bullet right behind it because that's how Astral Communion works. So he's got another Crackle. Like I said, he's playing a bunch of damaging spells. My guess is he's trying to do some sort of control shaman. He's got those golden cards that you earn from leveling up, so he's probably not a new player. He's got some epic and legendary cards. It looks like he's got a decent collection going. My guess is he's playing an experimental deck, and he's trying to make a spell damage shaman work with some of the new cards from Grand Tournament. But he's up against an extremely aggressive play. There's Sylvanas Windrunner, and that's a 5/5, and he's up to his 5th turn. But he's already had to deal with two Druids of the Claw, Sylvanas, and now Dr. Boom. So, it's not so much necessarily that his deck is bad. It might be pretty competitive against a lot of the aggro decks where it can kill these things, and he can get spell damage from his totems that improve his Frost Shocks. And he's got Feral Spirits that trade well against aggro. So a Face Hunter might actually have a lot of difficulty dealing with him. But he does not have, in these low-cost spells, enough removal to deal with these huge minions coming out one after the other. And he's going to silence Sylvanas, which is going to prevent him from her from taking one of his cards. But he's still got the 2 boom bots and kills off his Ghost Wolf. A little bit of payback for his Crackle, taking out my Druid of the Claw. That usually doesn't happen. Crackle's usually not that good. He got real lucky with that. And if he hadn't, then he would probably be even more disadvantaged. But I've got 33 and he's at 21. So he's not faring well against this onslaught. Now I got a silence, and I don't know what he's running. He might have some taunts in his deck that I may want to remove. He might have Alakir the Windlord, who is taunt and Wind Fury and Divine Shield, and I may want to silence that. And so I'm going to hang on to my Keeper of the Grove. But since I don't have any cards, I don't have anything else to play. So all I did that turn was hero power. And that is the drawback to Astral Communion. When you draw a card that's not useful on the turn you want to play it, you just can't do anything. And that really gives the opponent a chance to come back a little bit. So it's a very powerful ability with a very significant drawback. But if you have a deck list that just has one after the other, all of these big cards just coming after him, it's just really hard to deal with that with really any deck, which is why Astral Communion is such a cool card, and it's why I'm trying to build this deck list. This is still kind of experimental. Like I'm running Kel'Thuzad in it right now. I've got, if you can trade a Druid of the Claw into something and then drop Kel'Thuzad and get your Druid of the Claw back, that is a really big tempo shift. He's going to try to get rid of Ysera, but he's already used his Lightning Bolt, and now he's going to use his Elemental Destruction. That's going to kill everything because he had a totem that gives him spell damage. So this is a spell damage Shaman deck. So my Ysera, he managed to kill it, but it took him several cards. I mean, you can see after discarding my hand, I've almost completely neutralized his card advantage, and now I've drawn 2 cards, and I have as many cards as him, and they're all big creatures, and I have 10 mana. He's caught up on the mana, but this turn he is overloaded from using Elemental Destruction, which is a new epic, and I don't know why he's using Farsight. That is one of the worst epic cards in the game, so I don't know what he's thinking. But I've got Aviana, and I can do an Aviana turn, but what I'm going to do instead is drop Justicar Trueheart, who is one of my favorite new legendaries. She upgrades your hero power, and she's a 6/3 for 6, which is not good, but the upgraded hero power is a great deal of value. So particularly when you can play her where the opponent doesn't have an opportunity to trade into her with a small card, it really does swing the game in your favor, especially if you're playing a class that uses your hero power a lot. And I like her in this deck a lot because anytime you top deck a card with Astral Communion that doesn't cost your entire mana pool, you're going to want to do a hero power. So if you are lucky enough to get Justicar Trueheart shortly after you do Astral Communion, she can really help you put the game out of reach for the opponent. And now I've done my Aviana. What you really want to do with Aviana is get an Innervate combo, but I didn't need an Innervate combo because he's got 7 life and he's completely burned through everything in his deck. And now he's facing these 2 huge legendaries. So, yeah, there's not very much he can do about that. So he lightning bolts himself in the face and surrenders. I wonder if the last card was Malagos, but it wasn't going to make any difference.